There's absolutely no correlation between the amount that companies spend on advertising with Computer World UK, Tech World or any other IDG publication and the amount of coverage that we give them. We pride ourselves on being editorially independent. Well, I never look at who's spending money on advertising. I look at what the stories are, what the companies are, what they're doing, what's of interest to the readers. What's of interest to the readers is the priority. So in terms of blacklisting organisations because they don't advertise with us, I think it's an anathema to work for an organisation that thinks in that way. I think the industry is big and important and it needs strong independent editorial. We want advertising, but we don't bow to the advertisers. We write things that are uncomfortable for some of our advertisers, and I wouldn't work in a place that had it any other way. Well, print has been in long-term decline. I mean, I first went online only in 2001. When I was at Computer Weekly, we launched CW360, and then went back and did some print. I don't think print is dead per se, but the whole world's changed fundamentally. You've got new form factors, you've got tablets and e-readers and so forth, so you'll see a big change there. I think in terms of B2B magazines, I think they're dead on their feet, to be honest with you. I also think online is a fantastically useful way to work. It's a liberatory way to work. You can be quick, you can be analytical and more in depth. You can aggregate content almost on the fly as news breaks. So it's brilliant. I really enjoy it. There are economies that you can make through online. The publishing model has to change quite fundamentally, but there are economies that you can make through online, and hopefully that's fed back into editorial. I think the key thing though is having a relationship with your readers, knowing your readers, whatever the form is. So whether it's print going back 10 years, whether it's standard websites over the last 5 years, or whether it's tablets and e-readers and smartphones and so forth over the coming period, the key thing is whether you're producing content that's relevant to your readers, you know your readers, and your readers know you. I use G+, the new Google social media tool. Stumbled upon, I think everybody should use all these tools. There's an enormous amount of intelligence you can gather out there. It's good for promoting your content. It's good for listening to the audience. We've got some great news breaks by following social media. So yeah, it's a good tool for journalism, and it's a good tool for our readers. I try and build relationships with individuals in companies and with PR people, particularly individual PR people. I don't have favourite PR agencies by and large. I think that it very much depends on the people that are working on the accounts. But for any journalist, the first priority is to know your readers, and my readers are end users of enterprise IT. The second priority is to know the key players in the companies that supply them. And then the third priority is to know the PR teams and the PR companies. But of course, a good PR company can make an enormous difference to it. How you can respond to news, respond to events. They can get you the interviews that you want, get you the information that you want. And a bad PR company can be a block on you, and if they're a block on you, then that actually impacts on what's covered and what isn't covered about their client. Well, I don't think there's any surprise about what my pet peeves are. It is about being pitched things that are wholly irrelevant, or being sent things which are inappropriate, being rung up and asked, can I send you a press release? It's absolutely ridiculous. Send the press release. What I do like about good PRs is they understand my titles, my audience, my interests, and that they pitch appropriate stuff to me. And then when they do that, I will always make the time to read the press release or take the phone call. If I feel I'm being carpet bombed by a PR person or an agency, then I don't have time. You know, I don't give it a second glance. And I get probably 500 press releases a day through my inbox. So knowing that I'm dealing with someone who understands me is very, very important. So the relationship with the PR is very, very important to getting the message across. I think all journalists like to go out. You know, all journalists like to be out of the office, meeting people, talking to people. It's a sociable industry, if you like. There's some very, very big pressures on you as a journalist now that they've changed over the last decade, which is the whole, we've all got mobile phones, we're all online, we're 24-hour news. There's so much more information that's available at the drop of a hat or a well-conducted Google search. So me getting time out of the office is at a premium, but I always feel myself that a face-to-face meeting is really, really a very, very good step. A good face-to-face meeting, you can then got a relationship that can go forward for several years on the backs of telephone conversations and email conversations.